A 9-year-old fan and his family are the latest people to take legal action against Travis Scott and the venue for his injuries at the Astroworld festival. The boy is currently in a medically induced coma fighting for his life, and his family is demanding $1 million in damages. The 9-year-old boy named Ezra Blount is currently in a medically induced coma after he was seriously injured at the Astroworld festival. The boy's family is now suing Scott for gross negligence. Ezra was at the festival with his father Tristan. In the heat of the chaos at the event, Ezra's father Tristan had him on his shoulders for protection, but unfortunately Ezra was dropped to the ground after his father passed out from exhaustion. This led to damage to his lungs, kidneys, liver, heart, and brain. When Tristan awoke, he went to the medical tent and was told his son was admitted to the hospital due to his severe injury. Tristan started a GoFundMe page for support, which has now raised over $50,000. The lawsuit against Scott claims that he and concert organizers failed to enforce proper safety protocols or provide sufficient security staff for the event, which was attended by more than 50,000 people. Blount's family is blaming Travis and the festival for not stopping the concert for more than 40 minutes after the event was labeled a mass casualty event by police. Travis temporarily paused the music on 3 occasions, but never for more than a few moments. The lawsuit implicated Travis, Live Nation, Cactus Jack Records, and even Drake, who was performing with Scott on stage during the heat of the chaos. Lawyers believe the damages for the event will be in the billions of dollars. Tristan, Ezra's dad, is a huge Travis Scott fan and even has an Astroworld tattoo on his forearm, but now he wants answers and compensation for what happened to his son. Ezra's grandfather, Vernon Blount, told ABC 13, quote, "I've seen apologies online that didn't look so sincere from people who participated in the event. If you feel so bad, why don't you go to the hospital to check on your fans? Why would you keep letting concerts be this way and let people get injured? Nobody should get injured to make $1. Nobody should have to lose their child, their grandchild, to make $1. Safety should have been provided for their fans." Ezra's grandfather also revealed to media that the boy was injured so badly that he went into cardiac arrest at some point and is suffering brain damage. Vernon added, quote, "If the mayor said there was 500 policemen there, I didn't see 500 policemen. When the event said there was 700 security, I didn't see 700 security. I saw children running through their gates, that's what I saw." Travis has commented on the situation since the event and revealed that he will cover funeral costs of those who are deceased following the event. Since the tragedy, he has been hit with a slew of lawsuits from the victims' families as well as the injured. One lawsuit served yesterday involved 68 attendees who were at the event. Texas attorney Thomas J. Henry says that he is being contacted by more people by the hour. Following the event, it was reported that 8 people lost their lives, although yesterday a 9th person, a student named Bahardi Shahadi, has lost her life following the festival. She had been on a ventilator fighting for her life since the concert, but the 22-year-old student was just labeled brain dead by doctors.
According to a number of reports online, an Instagram model and Drake had hit it off and started to DM each other back and forth. Eventually they would link up at a party, and then later she would go back to Drake's hotel room for the night. After the pair got intimate with each other, Drake then decided to go to the bathroom to dispose of the condom. And this is where things start to get really weird. After he came out of the bathroom, this woman then reportedly went to use the bathroom after him. However, she went into that bathroom with a game plan. This woman allegedly grabbed the condom from out of the garbage can and then proceeded to pour the contents into her genitals, for lack of a better word. Immediately, she began to experience a burning sensation and then started to scream. This caused Drake to run into the bathroom to see what was going on. When she admitted to what she had done, Drake told her that he had poured hot sauce from a packet into the condom to kill the sperm, because he knew full well that she was going to try and get herself pregnant. According to MTO News, they said that now this Instagram model is actually trying to sue Drake for booby-trapping the condom. She apparently even posted photos on Twitter of her inflamed private parts for proof. Now, first of all, it's important to note that this Tabasco fiasco is probably nothing more than just a rumor. Secondly, I don't think that the scientific community would necessarily agree that hot sauce is a great way to kill. And if Drake truly didn't want something like this happening, there's plenty of other ways to deal with it, other than, pouring hot sauce inside of the condom. I mean, the only real reason that he would do something like this is if he was under suspicion that she was going to try to get herself pregnant behind his back. Either way, this story spawned a ton of memes where people suggest that Drake definitely did this on purpose, but most people are just laughing at how absurd all of this sounds to begin with. And upon hearing that she was going to be suing Drake for this, a lot of users online were not really impressed. One user writes, "So she's suing him for not allowing her to trap him with an unwanted child?" With another adding, "So from what I just read on MTO News, a chick was trying to steal Drake's but ended up with hot sauce in her and now she wants to sue." Some people have actually refused to believe this story is true, but others are praising Drake for being clever enough to avoid future child support payments. One dude writes, "My man's Drake out here carrying hot sauce with his condoms for his one-night stand so girls don't steal his condoms out of the garbage and try to get pregnant from him. LOL, hashtag power move. Prepare for the hot sauce shortage, stay woke kings." And these kinds of guys always make me laugh because I really don't think that anyone is going to be trying to steal Tyrone's condom out of the garbage anytime soon, yet he writes this tweet like he and Drake are on the same level. As for the people who don't believe this story at all, one user on Twitter makes a very valid point and said, "Okay, that story on Drake has to be fake because how nasty do you gotta be to not notice red drippings on a condom?" Which is so true. I mean, how would you not notice that literally the contents are orange or clearly look tampered with, especially if this truly was what happened. Some more bad news is coming Alec Baldwin's way after it was announced that the script supervisor for the film Rust, Mamie Mitchell, will also be suing him along with other producers on the film over the accidental shooting of cinematographer Helena Hutchins. The misfire on set shook the world of Hollywood and took the life of an up-and-coming cinematographer, as well as injuring the film's director Joel Souza. The incident took place during a rehearsal when Baldwin was handed a prop weapon that was deemed to be safe by the film's armorer, as well as the assistant director. In a tearful statement, the script supervisor Mamie Mitchell explained why she was going to be filing this lawsuit against Alec Baldwin. In the complaint, she is quoted as saying, "Alec Baldwin intentionally, without just cause or excuse, cocked and fired the loaded weapon even though the upcoming scene to be filmed did not call for the cocking and firing of the firearm. Mr. Baldwin chose to play Russian roulette with a loaded weapon without checking it and without having the armorer do so. His behavior and that of the producers were intentional acts and or omissions without any just cause or excuse and with utter disregard of the consequences." As I mentioned earlier, some of the other people that have been named as defendants in this case are the armorer Hannah Gutierrez-Reed and the assistant director David Halls, as well as several production companies. Prior to this new lawsuit, there had also been one filed by the film's head of lighting, Sergei Svetnoy. He filed a lawsuit against Alec Baldwin and others alleging that their negligence resulted in him having severe emotional distress that would haunt him forever. To make matters worse, the attorneys of the crew members for this film also suggested that this may not have actually been an accident at all. They actually insinuated that this could have been sabotage. Hannah's attorney said earlier this month, "I believe that somebody who would do that would want to sabotage the set, want to prove a point, want to say they're disgruntled, they're unhappy." However, the Santa Fe County District Attorney Mary Carmack, who will be the prosecutor in this case, rejected any conspiracy theories. She also said that she understands that more than one live round had been discovered on the set, but would not allow that to cloud her judgment of what took place. Mamie Mitchell's attorney Gloria Allred also made a statement on this recent lawsuit from her client and said, "Today we filed a lawsuit in Los Angeles County Superior Court on behalf of our client Mamie Mitchell against actor-producer Alec Baldwin and numerous other producers of the movie Rust. In our lawsuit, we allege that on October 21st, 2021, Alexander Baldwin, Alec Baldwin, fired a loaded weapon, taking the life of Helena Hutchins, injuring Joel Souza, and causing physical and emotional injuries to Mamie Mitchell, the script supervisor, standing in the line of fire when the weapon went off." Gloria also stated that in this particular scene, the script did not actually call for Alec to be discharging a weapon. Another point of attack for many was the assistant director Dave Halls, who was accused of having prior issues with safety on set. Therese Magpal Davis, who worked in the wardrobe department for the movie, defended Dave though, as well as explaining the misfires and said, "The misfires were accidental discharges, which are more common than you think. Yes, there is a difference, and the weapons were checked immediately afterwards and the discharges were announced on set and apologized for. I was right there. We had several safety meetings, sometimes multiple per day. Our AD never seemed flippant about safety. He may have in other shows, but he wasn't like that on ours. Obviously, he screwed up majorly that day. He was stressed because the camera walkout had put us an hour and a half behind, and he made the most horrible call he could make." According to a text that was obtained by the media, one of the union members who had walked off the set of the Baldwin-produced movie said, "The entire camera crew walked off that morning for that exact reason. Last night, we each wrote resignation letters. We cited everything from lack of payment for 3 weeks, taking our hotels away despite asking for them in our deals, lack of COVID safety, and on top of that, poor weapon safety, poor on-set safety, period. We wrote about this exact issue last night and walked this morning because of it. That's not in any of the papers. They brought in 4 non-union guys to replace us and tried calling the cops on us. Only people that stayed were Helena, the DP, and Reed, the Be Steady op. She had a kid, man. I can't believe it." That day, they did end up having to start late because the production had to scramble to find a replacement camera crew, and according to Joel Souza, they ended up only being able to work with 1 camera. According to the search warrant, aside from Alec Baldwin, 2 other people had handled the prop revolver for that scene, which included armorer Hannah Gutierrez-Reed and then assistant director Dave Halls, who was the one to actually hand Baldwin the prop. Due to the COVID-19 protocols, the armorer had to set up 3 prop revolvers on a cart outside of Bonanza Creek Ranch's church set. However, when Dave grabbed one of the guns, he claims to have not realized that there were actually live rounds in the one that he was handing to Baldwin. Joel Souza also told the detectives that the cast and crew had taken a break for lunch, and when they returned for filming, he wasn't sure if the props had been checked again. The affidavit then goes on to say, "Joel said as far as he knows, knows, no one gets checked for live ammunition on their person prior and after the scenes are being filmed. The only thing checked are the firearms to avoid live ammunition being in them. Joel stated that there should never be live rounds whatsoever near or around the scene. When they came back from their lunch though, the cameras had to move to a new angle because of shadows, and as Baldwin was explaining how he would be drawing the revolver, the prop discharged. At the time, Joel was looking over Helena's shoulder, and when the prop discharged, he saw Helena grab her midsection and then stumble backwards. She could be overheard saying that she couldn't feel her legs as people around her helped assist her to the ground. Alec Baldwin is said to be cooperating fully with the investigation, but only time will tell if he begins to push back on all of these lawsuits that are coming his way. Lady Gaga is getting great reviews for her latest performance in the film House of Gucci, but the heirs of the Gucci family are not exactly happy about how they were portrayed. Now, the family is taking legal action against the founders of the film, even calling it an insult to the legacy on which the brand is built. The Gucci family are bringing up this lawsuit as a way of protecting the Gucci name, although Gucci said that the film was far from accurate and that the plot portrayed his family as ignorant thugs that were insensitive to the world around them. He also attacked director Ridley Scott for not bothering to consult with them about the real-life events that inspired the script. Mainly, they really didn't like the fact that Patrizia Reggiani was portrayed in such a sympathetic way. Lady Gaga played Patrizia, who was dubbed by Aldo as the Black Widow because she was convicted for taking the life of her husband, Maurizio Gucci, played by Adam Driver in the movie. This is actually something that Gaga had touched on before though in an interview with British Vogue. She knew who this person was going into the film and said that she didn't want to glorify someone that could do something like that, but tried to pay respect to women throughout history who became experts at survival, which actually was another statement that the Gucci family also did not really care for. The Gucci heirs said that their problem with that is that it's not the truth. Portraying Reggiani as a victim trying to survive in a male and male chauvinist corporate culture couldn't be further from the truth, a statement that the family made to Variety in regards to Lady Gaga's British Vogue interview. So it's clear that they did not have a good feeling about this film even before it was released. Despite what the Gucci family thinks though, I don't really think that Ridley Scott was trying to derive most of his script from their actual real life stories. The film is apparently based off of a book called The House of Gucci that was written by Sarah Forden in 2001. In their statement announcing that they would be taking the route of legal action if necessary, the Gucci family said, "Gucci is a family that lives to honor the work of its ancestors whose memory does not deserve to be disturbed to stage a spectacle that is untrue and which does not do justice to its protagonists. The members of the Gucci family reserve the right to take action to protect the name, image, and dignity of themselves and their loved ones. However, it may be more difficult for them to take legal action than they think. You see, the Gucci family doesn't even really own that name anymore, nor do they own the business. While they have the ability to use their last name in a personal capacity, the Gucci trademark rights belong almost entirely to the French luxury goods company Kering. In 1999, they acquired 42% of the company for $3 billion. Then in 2003, they raised that stake to 67.7%, and then again in 2004 to 99.4%. So yeah, they own the name. Now sometimes people will go the angle of unauthorized exploitation of their likeness, name, and personality traits, but that would also be an issue for the Gucci family. Due to the right of publicity action, movies became known as an expressive medium, and so it's been established that the public interest in preserving such expression outweighs the private interest of individuals in the commercial value of their publicity rights. However, this all is according to US law where the film's production companies reside. I do not know if Italian law would allow them to proceed with some type of right of publicity action. Ridley Scott doesn't seem too concerned as he dismissed the criticism of his film by the Gucci family. While speaking on BBC Radio 4, he said that he just doesn't engage with that and then reiterated the crimes that the Gucci family is known for, adding that one went to jail for tax evasion, so you can't be talking to him about making a profit. Just off the top, I'd like to give you all a warning that this story contains descriptions of SA, so if this is a sensitive topic for you, this is your warning. Beloved cultural icon Snoop Dogg, whose real name is Calvin Brodus Jr., has just been accused of attacking an anonymous woman that described herself as a dancer, model, host, and actress. She claims to have previously worked with him and said that he forced her to perform while they were together in a bathroom. The alleged victim claimed that after going to a Snoop Dogg concert on May 29, 2013, she was offered a ride home from one of Snoop's associates, Bishop Don Magic Wand. However, instead of taking her home, Don took her to his house where he proceeded to SA her. Then, to make matters worse, it's alleged that the next day he drove her to a studio to audition for Snoop Dogg. It was supposed to be for a television role, but before that she says that Snoop Dogg cornered her in a bathroom and forced her to perform In the court documents, the woman says that during her encounter with Snoop, she felt pressured by defendant Snoop Dogg due to his dominance and his position of power over her, including his ability to hire and fire her and ensure that she would never be hired in his industry again. The lawsuit goes on to state that she felt herself thinking about the security of her job if he was displeased by her, then adding that she ended up not even getting the television gig because she refused to willingly and enthusiastically give. According to the lawsuit, he is being sued for SA and violation of the Trafficking Victims Protection Act. Other media outlets such as Sky News reported that he had tried to handle this case previously through mediation, but the talks ultimately went nowhere, and so she has now filed a civil suit. All of which, I might add, is taking place right before he is set to take the stage for the Super Bowl halftime show on Sunday, February 13th. So far, the only response we have seen from Snoop is this now deleted post where he said, "Gold digger season is here, be careful. Keep your guards up and keep your circle small." And as I mentioned, Snoop is set to perform at this year's halftime show along with Dr. Dre, Eminem, Mary J. Blige, and Kendrick Lamar. In addition to that big news, he has also officially become the man in charge of Death Row Records. The announcement that the rapper had acquired the label came on Wednesday, and it's a bit of a sentimental business move, considering the fact that Death Row Records is responsible for launching his career in the 90s with his debut album Doggy Style. In a statement, Snoop said, "I am thrilled and appreciative of the opportunity to acquire the iconic and culturally significant Death Row Records brand, which has immense untapped future value," adding, "It feels good to have ownership of the label I was part of at the beginning of my career and as one of the founding members. This is an extremely meaningful moment for me." As for the lawsuit against him right now, some people aren't entirely buying the story. One person writes, "I'm not into Snoop Dogg and rap, but see that he has been accused of SA by a model and dancer that allegedly occurred in 2013. He's due to perform during the NBC halftime Super Bowl and said it's gold digger season. The woman wants $10 million. Kendall Jenner and her 818 Tequila are being sued right now by a competitor called Tequila 512 for very brazenly ripping off 512. Not only that, but her famous sister Kim Kardashian is getting dragged into this lawsuit as well. Tequila 512 is claiming in their lawsuit that 818 knows exactly what they're doing with the logo design and that it was a cheap trick for them to copy them. More specifically, they were upset over the fact that she named her tequila after the San Fernando Valley area code, which is the same shtick that 512 did, which is the area code for Austin. But wait, there's more. They also are suing Kendall for ripping off their color scheme, adding that because they are so similar, it will naturally confuse customers. It does help their case that they've been in business since 2015, whereas Kendall's tequila company started, I believe, in May of 2021. And when you look at the bottles side by side, you can really get a better idea of why this is such an issue for them. Both in color and design, these bottles are the same. If I didn't know, I would assume that they were maybe under the same parent company or something. Now, in a strange twist of events, Kim Kardashian is being named in this lawsuit as well. 512 is claiming that something shady took place in Kim's app called Kim Kardashian Hollywood. The app was promoting Kendall's 818, but for some reason the 512 bottle could also be seen front and center on the in-game images. As of right now, it's unclear if this was a mistake or intentional, but either way, it proves the point of this lawsuit quite well. Their main argument is that customers will get confused, and here we have an example of developers being confused over the actual tequila design for Kim's game. If a mistake like that can be made, then it can definitely be argued that a consumer would make the same mistake, thus costing 512 money and making more money for Kendall. 512 claims that they reached out to the creators of Kim's gaming app, but then say that the game creators kept the design and simply changed the color from yellow to green. The lawsuit goes on to state, either defendant intentionally used plaintiff's bottle hoping to further blur the lines between the two products, or defendant was itself confused about the difference between the two brands. It's also important to note that Kendall was not listed as a defendant, only her company is being sued, but a company rep said that they are reviewing the complaint and believe that the allegations are without merit. But 512 is attempting to have a judge stop 818's production and sales with this lawsuit, even saying that they want the profits that the company has made from their similar tequila brand. Now, Tequila 512 CEO and chairman Nick Matsoukas also gave a statement to a local news station in Austin and said that they want 818 Tequila to clearly distinguish themselves from his company's products, adding, "It goes beyond just lost sales. It's about the long-term dilution of our unique, recognizable brand identity that they decided to mimic." This isn't the first time that Kendall's tequila company has faced some kind of backlash before. Previously, she was criticized and accused of appropriating Mexican culture in her promotional images, while others have mocked her for the grammatically incorrect Spanish on 818's label.
American model and television personality Hailey Bieber seems to have gotten herself into some trouble over the launch of her new skincare line called Rhode. Before starting the line, she said that she had always dreamed of starting her own line, but didn't get serious about it until the last couple years, making time to meet with chemists and dermatologists and test out the samples with family and friends. She had a sit-down interview with People and said the following, What sets Rhode apart is we're putting out a very curated, edited line of essentials. Our philosophy is making one of everything really good. For me, that spans across all things in my life, from beauty to how I edit my wardrobe. It's like that one really good pair of jeans you're always reaching for, that one really good blazer you keep going back to. That's how I look at skincare as well, the one really good moisturizer you keep reaching for. The debut started with 3 products available on their website, all for under $30. Hailey saying that she wanted to make the makeup available for everyone, saying it was a party everyone was invited to. But it looks like that party might just get crashed by a 9-year-old fashion line that shares the exact same name. The co-founders of the company, Perna Katow and Phoebe Vickers, are suing her for trademark infringement due to the companies sharing the same name. According to the court filings, they said that since launching the company in 2013, they have dedicated themselves to growing and nurturing the Rhode brand through much personal sacrifice and hardship. It is now apparently a very reputable brand sold in luxury stores and has been worn by celebrities like both Beyonce and Rihanna, and they're apparently expected to make $14.5 million this year. According to the company, they hold the Rhode trademark for many different clothing items and accessories and had been planning to expand into household items and skincare. They said that as soon as Hailey's skincare line was launched, they immediately began to see confusion in the marketplace. They also said that Instagram had originally promised them the @Rhode handle, but they had then gone back on that and allowed Hailey Bieber to take the username, specifically noting the joint Instagram post between the new account and Bieber's own account that has already gained around 700,000 likes. They also said that more confusion has already been caused due to celebrities having tagged Hailey's new skincare account when wearing their clothing items instead of their official account @ShopRhode. Katow said, "We have real concerns about the future. We put blood, sweat, and tears into this brand for years. It is disappointing to me that an entrepreneurial woman who we've long been fans of is trying to stifle what we have built." And her partner Vickers seemed concerned about a TikTok comment where Hailey said that she wanted to make Rhode into a full lifestyle brand and that she would be releasing clothes in the future under the Rhode name. The two have asked in the documents that Hailey stop using the name Rhode for her brand and completely change the name of the skincare line, saying, "The brand Rhode is everything we have worked hard to achieve, and her using our name is hurting our company, our employees, our customers, and our partners." They also said that Hailey had even attempted to buy the name from them 4 years ago, but they had declined. And here's what their lawyer had to say about the situation. "We of course understand that Hailey wants to use her middle name for her brand, but the law on this is clear. You can't create this kind of brand confusion just because you want to use your name. What Miss Bieber is doing is harming a minority co-owned business that 2 women have painstakingly built into a growing global brand." Justin Bieber seems to think his wife has put her own fair share of work into growing the brand. Him saying, "I'm so proud of you, baby. No one knows the long hours of care and passion that you have put into building a skincare brand that is truly to serve the people." In the caption of the post, he continued on, saying, "The most beautiful thing about you is your care to protect people with good ingredients that will help their skin to flourish like you did for me and my skin. And so many people are going to have beautiful, dewy skin because of your desire to give them access to the best." Definitely sounds like a PR person wrote that for him, but that's just my opinion. As of me writing this video, nothing has gone to court yet, and there's no new information available, so we'll just have to wait and see. So most of us know that a little while ago, billionaire Elon Musk made the decision to purchase Twitter for a whopping total of $44 billion. And then we haven't really heard much else about it, and the app hasn't seemed to change at all. So is it still happening? Well, it doesn't look like it. According to reports, Elon is trying to back out, and Twitter is suing him to try and get him to pay up the full amount and follow through with his acquisition of the app as he had promised. Elon seems to see some roadblocks in front of him that have made him turn his back and change his mind on the decision. Elon put the deal temporarily on hold a little while ago due to the fact that he was trying to get Twitter to tell him the true percent of accounts on the app that were actually bots, as he believed that they had falsely reported it. They reported that out of 229 million users at the time, only 5% were bots, or around 11 million accounts. still a pretty large number, but Musk believed that the true number was around half. One of his main motivations for purchasing the app was to kill all the bot accounts, so obviously getting accurate information on this would be pretty important to him. He believed that these fake and often promotional accounts were one of the main issues on the app for both regular users and brands that use the platform for advertising. Elon's attorney said that getting this information was a clear term in their acquisition, and that if they did not get the information, then they would be well within their rights to back out of the multi-billion-dollar deal. Twitter obviously wants the money, but we're choosing not to investigate into the bot accounts or even let Elon investigate it himself. So this made Musk believe that they obviously had something to hide, and the bot numbers were probably closer to his own estimate than the stated 5%. Twitter put out a statement at the time that they were providing all the information he had requested, but Elon said that this simply wasn't true. He said that they were only giving him information about the way they found bot accounts and not about just how many were actually bots. Twitter has always seemed to want to cover this up, as they have previously shared the bot information with the US Securities and Exchange Commission, but even when they did that, they put a disclaimer that the number was probably actually even lower than what they were reporting. Well, Elon Musk is not happy about how this bot situation has played out and says he is well within his rights to now back out of the deal, but Twitter doesn't seem to think so. They are now suing him to try and get him to follow through on the deal at the full agreed upon price, and they're asking a judge to bring Elon to justice. They think that the reason he is backing out has nothing to do with the bot accounts, but is instead all about how the deal has affected Musk financially. After he signed the deal, they say that Elon's worth dropped by about $100 billion, obviously because Elon's shareholders weren't a huge fan of the acquisition. Tesla stocks dropped massively after it was announced due to people believing that he wouldn't have time to balance all the companies. As a result, there were massive layoffs in Tesla and its value tanked, which would obviously put a dent in Elon's net worth and income. Tesla wasn't the only one affected though. Twitter's own market value also slumped after the deal was made. So the bigwigs at Twitter are obviously desperate to get their $44 billion and try to recover the company. Elon backing out now and not going through with the deal would obviously leave a massive dent in the company's worth. They're not happy about Elon's excuse of the bot accounts being the reason for his backing out, saying that it is a model of hypocrisy. They are saying this because Elon apparently made it clear that defeating the bots was one of his main reasons for buying the app. So since he obviously knows that bots are such a big deal and he wants to fight the good fight against them, why would the mere existence of them be his reason for going back on the deal? Wouldn't this make him want to buy the app more so he can save it from the terrible evil bots? When it comes down to it, they say that Elon Musk signed the dotted line and now he needs to pay up, his excuse not being valid. As of writing this, there's no new information about the lawsuit and whether or not it's moving forward, so this is all I have for you for now.
Moving on, did you know that Olivia Wilde and Jason Sudeikis are getting sued by their ex-nanny? Erica Gennaro, their former nanny, is suing them for wrongful termination. She claims that she suffered severe anxiety and stress while they were going through their messy breakup in 2020, and she felt forced to pick sides. She also claims that when she asked for 3 days off for her mental health, she was abruptly fired. According to the lawsuit, Erica started experiencing anxiety in November of 2020 when Olivia left the home. Apparently, her sudden absence from the household had some very serious consequences because Jason started leaning on her a lot more for support. She says that even though this shared trauma created a bond between them, she also became increasingly anxious and stressed with his tendency to have her stay up and talk with him late at night after the kids were put to bed, which obviously did not happen when Olivia was still in the house. Erica says that it was in these late night conversations that Jason would talk about his wife in a way that forced her to take his side in the relationship drama. She says that she felt compelled to engage in these talks despite the fact that it gave her extreme anxiety. With Olivia gone, not only did her workload increase, but she felt like she became the unofficial primary caregiver of the children, and this quickly became debilitating. To make matters worse, when Jason and Olivia both had private conversations with her, they would often relay those messages to each other and then confront her about it. So basically, she was stuck in their relationship, which was getting more and more strained over time. The former nanny then agreed to go to group therapy with the two of them, all because of her position within the family dynamic. She eventually told Jason that she could not continue as their nanny, but said she would stay up to 5 months to help the transition of a new caretaker. Around this time, she said that her osteopath recommended that she take a 3-day break from communicating with the couple in order to help get her stress levels down. But when she requested medical leave, Jason Jason apparently fired her on the spot, and she was thrown out of the house. So that's why she brought a lawsuit against them. Erica believes that the firing was because of her disability of anxiety and depression, and for requesting a 3-day leave of absence for that same thing. She's now filed a discrimination complaint with the Civil Rights Department for the state of California. For their part, Jason and Olivia have put on a united front to hit back at the lawsuit. They released a statement saying, "As parents, it is incredibly upsetting to learn that a former nanny of our 2 young children would choose to make such false and scurrilous allegations about us publicly. Her now 18-month-long campaign against us, as well as loved ones, close friends, and colleagues, has reached its unfortunate apex. We will continue to focus on raising and protecting our children, with a sincere hope that she will now choose to leave our family alone." So, knowing what we know now, do you think she's in the right? Was the nanny fired unfairly? Maybe, but she's also made sure to expose them big time. Back in October, she did a series of interviews where she claimed that Jason spiraled into a rageful drinking binge when Olivia left the family to be with Harry. Erica also claimed that he lay in front of Olivia's car after hearing that she was going to see him. Apparently, when she was left alone with Jason, he pointed to a salad dressing that Olivia made and said, "She made the salad and she made her special dressing, and she's leaving with her salad to have dinner with Harry." When the nanny looked confused, he said, "She has a special salad dressing she makes for us, and she's taking it to have with him now." He pointed to it as evidence that she was having dinner with Harry Styles, because she has that exact same salad with every meal. This version of events is actually quite sad when you think about it, because it almost confirms that infidelity was involved in their separation. Although we do need to take everything that she said with a grain of salt, considering that she was trying to expose them out of spite. First up, in one of the most bizarre turn of events ever, Lady Gaga is now facing a lawsuit from an accomplice in the theft of her 2 dogs Koji and Gustav in February of 2021. She's getting sued by a woman called Jennifer McBride, who claims that she wasn't paid the $500,000 reward that she was originally offered for the safe return of the dogs. But to be fair, this woman was involved in the actual theft. That's really the craziest part. Ironically, her attorney argued that she's still entitled to the reward because the offer stated that there would be no questions asked if her dogs were returned unharmed. But obviously Jennifer did not get the money, and now her attorney claims that the singer committed a breach of contract, fraud by false promise, and fraud by misrepresentation. She is seeking damages of $1.5 million from Lady Gaga for allegedly posting the misleading reward. The lawsuit states that she defrauded her by making a promise without intent to perform. The filing claims that Jennifer has gone through pain and suffering, mental anguish, and loss of enjoyment of life because she didn't receive the $500,000. The incident dates back 2 years, when Gaga's French bulldogs were stolen from her dog walker Ryan Fisher. While doing his job, he was targeted by 5 men, who pointed a firearm at him and forcibly took the dogs. Only 2 days after they were stolen, Jennifer claims that she returned the dogs to the LAPD Olympic Community Station and tried to claim the reward. But the police soon discovered that she had a relationship with the father of one of the men in the robbery. She was then arrested as an accessory to the crime and sentenced to 2 years of probation. But the others did not get off so easy. The police identified James Howard Jackson as the main culprit, and he was ultimately sentenced to 21 years in prison. But the whole robbery was a coincidence. Authorities said that the men did not actually know that the dogs belonged to Lady Gaga when they took them. The motive was actually the value of the French bulldogs, because it's a breed that's worth thousands of dollars. Jackson and 2 others drove around the city of West Hollywood and the San Fernando Valley, specifically looking for French bulldogs, and that's when they spotted Ryan walking with the 3 of them. But the robbery quickly turned violent because he refused to let go of the dogs. Ryan was severely wounded, and he was hit in the neck and the chest, and he had to be hospitalized immediately. He suffered a collapsed lung as a result. Fortunately, he was able to stay with Gaga during his recovery, and she supported him throughout the physical therapy. After the attack, the singer released a statement praising his bravery. She said, "I continue to love you, Ryan Fisher. You risked your life to fight for our family. You're forever a hero." During his recovery, he spoke to Gayle King on CBS This Morning and said, "She's helped me so much. She's been a friend for me. After I was attacked, my family was flown out and I had trauma therapists flown to me. I stayed at her house for months while friends comforted me and security was around me." Ryan said that even though he was terrified when the thieves approached him, there was no way he wasn't going to fight to protect the dogs, despite knowing that he could have died in the process. He also recounted his harrowing visit to the emergency room and said, "When they put the chest tube in, all of this blood just spurted out on the doctor next to me and everyone's faces just dropped. I heard my blood pressure drop. The people in the ER who I'd seen that night told me that they didn't think I was going to survive that night." In the end, part of his lung had to be removed and he had to undergo a lot of physical therapy because of it. Although it took him a long time to heal physically and mentally from the attack, he has since forgiven the men responsible. All things considered, it was an absolutely tragic ordeal, and this latest lawsuit is only rehashing the whole event.
Number 10.
10. Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Okay, I'm sure many of you saw this case over the news just last year. Even though Johnny and Amber's relationship only lasted a matter of months, their relationship spanned over a decade. The two met in the set of Rum Diary back in 2009, and this really sparked the beginning of their friendship. Amber said in Vogue in 2011, "Working with Johnny was torture. It was better than I ever imagined," which is really saying something. It was a couple years after meeting that the couple started publicly dating and were engaged by 2014. Johnny and Amber got married in a private ceremony in 2015, and it wasn't long after that that things really took a turn for the worse. After just 15 months, Amber filed for divorce, even obtaining a restraining order against Depp just 4 days later, claiming physical assault. She claimed that just before filing for divorce, Johnny threw his phone at her, resulting in a bruise on her face. But when a police spokesman was asked about this in an interview with People, they said that under investigation, no crime had taken place at all. Johnny and Amber ended up going to court over these allegations, which Johnny's representatives were sure were just an attempt for financial gain. By August 2016, a settlement was reached in Amber's favor, leading to her receiving $7 million, which she claimed was all going towards a charity of her choice. Both Amber and Johnny released a joint statement about this, saying, "Our relationship was intensely passionate, but always bound by love. Neither party has made false accusations for financial gain." But of course it didn't end there. Amber ended up writing a feature article for the Washington Post talking all about this messy relationship that the two had, as well as writing all about her alleged domestic violence. She wrote, "I became a public figure representing domestic violence. I felt the full force of our culture's wrath for women who speak out." Though she never actually mentioned Johnny by name, it was pretty obvious who she was talking about. Johnny sued Amber for this in 2019 for $50 million under a defamation lawsuit. The lawsuit said, Amber Heard is not a victim of domestic violence, she is a perpetrator. They claimed that all of her claims were just an elaborate hoax to generate a positive publicity, which of course didn't necessarily happen. Police calls were released of Amber attempting to hitting Johnny, saying, "I didn't hit you across the face in a proper slap, but I wasn't punching you. Babe, you're not punched. I didn't hurt you." While continuing to deny any claims against Amber, the trial ended after 6 weeks. Johnny was awarded $15 million after the jury unanimously found that Amber couldn't support her claims, and that she knew all along these allegations were false from the start. I honestly can't think of many more ways this breakup could have been worse. Number 9, we have Tiffany Haddish. The comedian and actress Tiffany, best known for her role in Girls Trip, has been iconic in many comedies lately. But back in 2018, she became involved in a pretty messy defamation case by the hands of her ex-husband, William Stewart. In the lawsuit, William claimed that Tiffany had written him up to be a monster in her 2017 memoir, The Last Black Unicorn. He expresses how he never hurt the actress in any way, also denying any allegations that he was responsible for the loss of her unborn child, but that she had an abortion. The attorney claims, saying, "For the defendant's own profit, they painted my clients as in a best-selling book. After a review of the evidence, we know that the assertions about my client in the book The Last Black Unicorn are untrue." William ended up seeking $1 million in damages from Tiffany and her publisher, as well as her co-writer, for ruining his image. Though the trial has been delayed, many believe it could be possible the case was dropped, or there might have just been a private payout settlement that happened. Number 8, Miley Cyrus and Liam Hemsworth. Did you catch all the Easter eggs in Miley Cyrus's new music video for the song Flowers? Well, they all seem to be directly related to a timeline of her relationship with Liam, and it's safe to say Liam didn't love it as much as her fans did. In a very recent news report, Liam may just be suing his ex-wife Miley for defamation over the iconic video. Allegedly, Liam is intending to pursue a legal route, claiming that this may be the reason he almost lost his role in the upcoming Witcher series. According to a document that leaked on Twitter, reportedly Liam is calling out Miley, filing the motion that he's about to lose his contract with the series. Twitter seems to be divided, not really knowing how true this is, and not really knowing how they feel about it. One wrote, "Miley never said it was about Liam, so if Liam feels this song is about him, he must just have a guilty conscience. This will never hold up in court." Another wrote, "I really doubt Liam is actually suing Miley, but if he is, it's her fans' fault for making all this stuff up about him. Johnny set the precedent for suing people when they did nothing wrong." When discussing the recent theories of tension between the two, Liam's sister-in-law told the press, "It's a very old topic for us. If someone should talk, it should be Liam, and I think Miley can do whatever she wants." Number 7, Marilyn Manson and Evan Rachel Wood. A couple that that really caught the public's attention back in 2007 seem to not be able to stay out of the headlines even after they've called it quits. After going public with their relationship when Evan was just 19 and Manson was 36, they ended up dating on and off for 3 years before eventually splitting up. Despite having some ups and downs together in the past, Evan has told the media at that time that she wouldn't trade the relationship for anything, even saying, "I appreciate everything he taught me. I just don't think we were right for each other." 6 years after the breakup, Evan shared how she had experienced SA twice. Revealing this during the Me Too movement, she decided to keep their identities private. She explained, "People are going to be wondering why more people didn't come forward sooner. They do not feel safe enough to do so. I'm guilty of this as well because I have not named my abusers, but I want to when I'm ready." 2 years after this video came out, Evan seemed to be ready enough to share about her experiences and wrote a series of emotional Instagram posts. She named Marilyn Manson as her abuser and went on to describe a pretty unsettling story of manipulation and violence. Not long after, Manson filed a defamation suit against the actress and accused her of having recruited, coordinated, and pressured other women to accuse him of abuse. Of course, Evan denied all the claims of pressuring the other 4 women who did come forward to share their stories. As this trial seems to continue to be ongoing, it's not looking like it's gonna get any less messy. Number 6, Chris Brown. Chris Brown definitely doesn't have the best reputation in many people's eyes as is, so being accused of SA definitely didn't help. After being arrested in 2019 under allegations of SA, as well as narcotic violations, he ended up being released just 2 hours later. And it didn't stop the media from speculating what the truth is about these allegations. Chris wrote in a now deleted Instagram post saying, "I want to make it very clear, this is false. For my daughter and my family, this is so disrespectful and is against my character and morals." The unnamed woman ended up dropping the charges, to which Chris immediately filed a defamation suit against her. We are yet to know how the lawsuit ended, but with Chris Brown's even more recent allegations of SA, it's most likely not going to end in his favor. Number 5, Sandra Locke and Clint Eastwood. Before there was Johnny and Amber case, there was the Sandra and Clint Eastwood case. Sandra and Clint were once nicknamed the Golden Couple, but unfortunately it didn't end the way everyone was hoping for. When Sandra first met Clint, she was already married to a gay artist, who she had a platonic relationship with. She decided to not divorce him, and the marriage stayed legal throughout the whole relationship with Clint. Unfortunately, this would come back badly on her during their legal battles. After the relationship came to an end, Sandra sued Clint twice, once for palimony and another for fraud. She claimed that a project development deal with Clint was set up as just a trick, set up to buy off the palimony suit. But the palimony suit the two reached was an agreement of $1.5 million, development and directing deal at Warner Brothers. This was in exchange for Sandra dropping the case completely. But after the studio rejected her 30 proposals, she claimed that this was just another way to prevent her from working at all. Fortunately, the court ruled in her favor and she claimed $2.5 million in the settlement, which Clint claimed was all about the money for his ex. Number 4, Blac Chyna. Let's talk about Blac Chyna and Rob Kardashian. The two weren't together long, but they did have an interesting start when attempting to get accepted into the Kardashian clan. Considering she has a child with her former boyfriend and Kylie's then boyfriend Tyga. After dating from 2016, getting engaged and having a child together themselves, the two ended up calling off their whirlwind romance in 2017. After the split, the Kardashians were apparently so over the whole relationship. An insider told the media Rob's family doesn't support the relationship, in an agreement that he deserves better. During her time with Rob, the two ended up getting their own reality show called Rob and Chyna, which only lasted 1 season. Because of their split, the show of course was cancelled, and this resulted in Chyna taking legal actions against the family at the time, claiming they were to blame for the cancellation of the show. When Rob attended the trial, he shared saying, "I was probably at the worst place in my entire life, at my weakest and lowest point. She was the one person who brought me to my lowest point, so I ignored her bad behavior toward my family." Chyna even went on to claim that Rob physically assaulted her, but in the end the case was dismissed, as the judge ruled in favor of the Kardashians. Chyna was then ordered to pay the family back for the charges spent on the trial. Then the judge said, justice has prevailed. Number 3, Nicki Minaj. Though not an ex, but still another uncomfortable defamation case is that of Nicki Minaj and the blogger Marley Green. The defamation lawsuit came after Marley made allegations suggesting that the rapper was addicted to narcotics, as well as saying Nicki's bloodline was disgusting, adding that her son will need therapy soon. Nicki's legal team served the blogger in September, but has yet to hear back, forcing her legal counsel to extend the deadline yet again. After not hearing back in January, January, the deadline is yet again extended. Currently, Nicki is looking for $75,000 in damages, but Marley hasn't responded yet to these claims, and it's been months. I guess it's up to the rapper to see how far and long she wants to take this. Number 2, we have Rihanna and the bodyguard. Music icon Rihanna ended up in hot water with her ex-bodyguard when he sued the star for allegedly making bad comments about the head of security in 2014. The bodyguard, Jeffrey Keaton, claims that Rihanna made a series of false statements that have made a terrible impact on his reputation and his business. Though the details of the remarks hasn't been released, Jeffrey's counsel describes them as nauseatingly offensive. The case ended up getting dropped in 2015, but Jeffrey has always stood by the allegations, saying they caused damage to his family life, reputation, and business, which in the end has caused him stress and anxiety. And finally, at number 1, we have Kesha and Dr. Luke. Kesha's fans have always shown love for this singer in her Free Kesha movement, with her ongoing battle with her music producer Dr. Luke. The fight stems from trying to break free from her recording contract after accusing Dr. Luke of SA and emotional abuse. The singer has been trying to escape his label, owned by Sony Music, since 2014, but with no luck. After the accusations of abuse came to light, Dr. Luke accused her of defamation against him, saying she made up those claims in order to get out of her record contract. Kesha currently has 2 appeals pending in this case, which have since been delayed, but with their new court date being pushed to the summer this year, many fans are ready to tune in to this insanely long legal battle.
And now, guess who else is going to court? Gwyneth Paltrow. But as you could probably guess, it's not gang related. No, this trial is about a skiing accident that she was involved in. A 76-year-old man by the name of Terry Sanderson has accused her of crashing into him while they were both skiing on a mountain in Utah in 2016. The two of them were on a beginner's run at one of the most upscale ski resorts in the country. The incident caused Sanderson lasting injuries and literal brain damage. In the court documents, he claimed that Gwyneth skied out of control and knocked him down hard. He then got completely knocked out, suffered a brain injury, and 4 broken ribs. Well, no wonder he took her to court. To make matters so much worse, Gwyneth wasn't actually alone at the time. She was with her ski instructor, and apparently they just both left him to suffer alone without getting him any medical attention. The retired optometrist had initially sued her for $3.1 million, but he later amended the complaint and is now seeking more than $300,000 in damages. For her part, Gwyneth filed a countersuit against him, claiming that he skied into her. According to her side of the story, she said that she was enjoying skiing with her family on vacation in Utah when he plowed into her from the back. She claimed that he was uphill, and when he ran into her, she sustained a full body blow. Apparently, she called him out for this and he apologized at the time. She said that the incident left her shaken and it made her quit skiing for the day, even though it was still the morning. She's now seeking $1 million in damages plus attorney's fees. So this is going to be a very tense legal battle. After more than 6 years, the two of them will finally reach a conclusion about what really happened on that day. Gwyneth's attorneys called Sanderson's story utter BS and accused him of suing her to exploit her wealth and celebrity status. They argued that his injuries might have even been the byproducts of aging, given that he was around 70 years old at the time. Meanwhile, his attorneys have attempted to paint her as a negligent celebrity, with little care for the injuries inflicted upon a regular person. So whose side are you on? Because as you can probably guess, most people think that Gwyneth is in the wrong. They've even been making fun of her courtroom appearance and comparing her to Jeffrey Dahmer. Yes, the guy who literally ate a bunch of people. Pictures were taken of her in court yesterday, and for some reason, her large aviator-style sunglasses became the center of attention. It wasn't long before people made the comparison to the ones that were famously worn by Jeffrey Dahmer. As you know, he was responsible for taking the lives of 17 young men between 1978 and 1991. He also dismembered and ate some of their body parts, so the fact that anyone is comparing him to Gwyneth Paltrow is literally insane. But you do have to admit the resemblance is uncanny. People commented things like, "So that's where her bone broth comes from," and "Guess she's going for the Dahmer look." In fact, more than anything else, it seemed like fans were making jokes about the trial. Someone wrote, "As an optometrist, he should have seen her coming. I fear it may be on him." But there were also some who came to her defense and argued that Sanderson was just after her money because he was retired and no longer working. Several videos of Gwyneth sitting in court have also been circulating on Twitter. What's really interesting is her over-the-top facial expressions while she's sitting next to her attorneys. days. Despite the fact that the jury is watching her every single move, she is really struggling to hide her feelings. Judging from the videos, she seems to be both disinterested and incredibly smug at the same time. She was also seen using a blue notebook to shield her face from view when she was entering and exiting the courtroom. On the opening day of the trial, Gwyneth and Sanderson were sitting across the courtroom from each other. The judge offered instructions to the 8-person jury while the attorneys for each side introduced themselves before making opening statements. The trial is expected to last about 1 week. Although we don't have an official witness list, we do know that a lot of them are expected to testify tomorrow. Gwyneth will most likely take the stand, and we will also be hearing from family members who were with her at the time of the incident. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this whole thing pans out over the next couple of days. Let me know in the comments below who you think is going to be found guilty. Brian Laundrie's parents skip court amid lawsuit. Hi, I'm your host Bridget Shields, and let's dive right into today's story because it's a very upsetting one. The first hearing in the civil lawsuit between the family of Gabby Petito and the parents of Brian Laundrie began on Wednesday, but it's been confirmed that Christopher and Roberta Laundrie were not in attendance. The lawyers for Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie were set to come face to face in court for the first time to have a judge decide whether the civil lawsuit against the family can go ahead. The case itself is incredibly heartbreaking. In August last year, Gabby Petito, a beautiful, vivacious 22-year-old woman, had her life cut short by none other than her fiancé Brian Laundrie while they were traveling together on a van life journey across the United States. The trip began on the 2nd of July in 2021 and was planned to last 4 months, but sadly, Petito disappeared in late August. It wasn't until mid-September that Gabby's remains were found in Wyoming's National Forest. A medical examiner confirmed she had passed from blunt force trauma to the head. By that time, Brian was missing. His parents told police their son disappeared on September 17th, 3 days after they said that they had last seen him. The lawsuit alleges that Chris and Roberta Laundrie, Brian's parents, were aware that their son had brutally taken the life of the vlogger before she was reported missing, claiming that Laundrie's parents had knowledge that their son had a hand in Gabby's brutal death after a month-long cross-country trip, and that they even made plans to help him escape charges. The lawsuit also claims that the Laundries knew the location of Gabby's body and did not tell authorities, who were running a missing persons investigation at the time. In fact, they allege that instead of helping the Petito family search for Gabby, the Laundries took Brian on vacation and avoided questions from Gabby's mother and father as to their daughter's whereabouts. The Petitos are now seeking $30,000 in damages for the intentional infliction of emotional distress and the mental anguish they claim they suffered from the alleged lies and deceit of the Laundrie family. But Steve Bertolino, the attorney for the Laundrie family, has described the allegations as baseless and is seeking to have the case thrown out. But the Judge Carroll, who is presiding over the case, fired back, bringing up the defamation ruling against Johnny Depp, which was due to a statement made by his lawyer that Amber Heard's allegations were a hoax. Quote, Johnny Depp just got found civilly liable for defamation for what his attorney said, right? Which was a great warning to the Laundrie's attorney. Although Brian's parents were not legally required to attend, it's incredibly disrespectful that they didn't show up for the hearing, considering the gravity of the charges. But at the end of the day, I know a lot of people are just hoping that we get to see some real justice for Gabby Petito.